when we were at Imperial and the Royal College of Art, we were really interested in answering a very core question, which is a question which we still try and answer today. And that is it possible to create a material supply chain that is inherently healing?
Welcome to this episode of Echoes from the Bog. Today we're joined by Ponda, a UK-based startup that's pioneering regenerative BioPuff made from the iconic wetland plant Typha. In this conversation, Ponda's co-founder and CEO Julian Ellis Brown will talk more about the critical role of whole supply chain regeneration, the journey Ponda is on as a startup securing capital investment, and how income stacking, leveraging biodiversity credits, carbon credits, and flood prevention services can help farmers restore peatlands while improving their financial sustainability. It's a fascinating example of how we can pay for land restoration through creativity, collaboration, and cool jackets. Ponda Bio is a UK-based startup that focuses on innovative solutions for regenerating and restoring peatlands through the use of bio-based products. One of their key products is a regenerative BioPuff, which is derived from sustainable materials and is aimed at enhancing land restoration efforts. The company works at the intersection of environmental restoration, circular economies, and the development of regenerative business models that help both the planet and local economies.
Hi, my name is Julian. I'm co-founder and CEO of Ponda. Ponda began 5 years ago at Imperial College London and the Royal College of Art, where I met my co-founders Niloufar, Finley, and Antonia. And when we were at Imperial and the Royal College of Art, we were really interested in answering a very core question, which is a question which we still try and answer today. And that is it possible to create a material supply chain that is inherently healing? Now, there's 4 co-founders, and we all got to this question in sort of slightly different ways. Our CTO, Finley, has a background in materials. My background's in mechanical engineering. Nelly comes from a more business and strategic background, and Antonia from design. But it's exactly that sort of interdisciplinary nature of looking at this problem which I think excited us and enabled us to try and consider new models for how we might make the materials of tomorrow. In terms of how we are sustaining our work so far, we are a early stage startup with venture capital backing alongside significant non-dilutive funding. So what that means is we have raised money via offering parts of our business to investors in a series of funding rounds. And obviously those investors are looking to make a large return on their money. There's various different horizons for how long that might be. But this is quite a typical way where high risk but potentially very high reward startups like Ponda are able to earn money. It's probably worth mentioning what Ponda does and what Ponda is. So Ponda is a early stage wetlands products company where we're developing new ways for us to bring value to plants, flora that grow in healthy wetland environments. And the reason for that is hundreds of millions of hectares of wetlands around the world have been damaged. And the reason they've been damaged is they've been drained primarily for agricultural purposes. This is emitting huge amounts of carbon. It's having a huge impact on biodiversity. It's threatening the way we interact with water in terms of both flooding and droughts. And so what we do is we bring value by developing materials from wetland plants, which enables and encourages people to regenerate drained and damaged wetlands and transform them back into the healthy environments we, of course, want and need them to be. Our first material is called BioPuff. It's a plant-based insulation material used to reduce reliance on goose down or synthetic fillers. You can think of it as something which goes inside your puffer jacket, but also things like linings, quiltings, really anything which has some sort of level of like padding to it, you can substitute in BioPuff. In terms of long-term sustainability of Ponda after the R&D phase, we are looking to create a business model and financial model which connects quite damaging existing industries like fashion, textiles, homeware, maybe even automotive, directly to the regeneration of these landscapes through our material production technology. And what that means is a farmer who is currently farming perhaps a drained previous wetland, and maybe they're grazing some sheep on that land, maybe they're growing an arable crop. What we can do is we can approach that farmer, we can say, if you regenerate this land, if you re-wet it, introduce water back into it and grow these crops, we'll buy these crops off you, we'll process them, and we'll sell them into an industry like fashion. And we already work with loads of companies across the apparel industry, such as Stella McCartney, Berghaus, and Parley for the Oceans, and more recently also a company called Sheep Inc. And by doing that, the farmer obviously is able to continue to earn an income off that previously drained land which they had, but not only that, also gain all the natural capital benefits which come with that land regeneration. That might be 20 tons of CO2 emissions abated every year. It might be uptake of nitrogen or phosphorus from water sources, which is really important for our water quality. It might be boosting biodiversity. And all of these natural ecosystem benefits have a financial value to them as well. So then you can start thinking about this sort of blended stacking model for this farmer, going from just earning money from a crop, or maybe just earning money from grazing sheep, to then earning money through growing a crop in a regenerated wetland environment, potentially getting some carbon credits, potentially getting some biodiversity credits, maybe some nutrient benefit there as well, maybe some natural flood management. And that package we see as one of the pathways for regenerative business models to exist and thrive in the future. We receive all sorts of support from potential clients and other stakeholders within our supply chain. So, for example, we work really closely with NGOs and charities like the Wildlife Trust, with the RSPB. We work with lots of universities like Liverpool John Moores and other sort of agricultural institutions like CEH and ADAS. And that sort of accumulation of expertise enables us to have really high standards for the environmental potential we want in our supply chain and business, alongside us making sure that what we're producing is going to be viable, as in it's going to create enough value for farmers, it's going to create enough value for Ponda, and it's going to create enough value for our customers as well. Because if you think about these customers, the apparel brands of the world or homeware brands of the world, they're really interested in things like traceability of their materials and the stories they can tell around them. And of course, this is such a powerful story. What story is more powerful than being able to impact carbon, biodiversity, water, all through one material moving throughout their supply chain? And so that really encourages lots of new apparel companies to reach out to us as well. And a huge amount of our impact and our traction so far has been from apparel brands, fashion brands, all sorts of different companies reaching out to us. So we've had a lot of inbound. This is clearly where the future of manufacturing, the future of materials is and needs to be. I really think in terms of how we might contribute to the future economies and market as Ponda, it could potentially be huge. I think what we're talking about here is proving that you can build incentive structures into markets that connect directly a consuming behavior to a regenerative outcome. So we're going to be consuming sort of materials in the same way that we do today. Perhaps they're plant-based, perhaps they have slightly different properties to the conventional ones, but by consuming them, you're actually ensuring that they're coming from these highly regenerative sources. And the really key aspect of that is making sure that these materials hit what's sort of known as the kind of golden triangle, which are these kind of three key pillars that you need if you're introducing a new material, which is ensuring its performance meets expectations in comparison to incumbent or existing materials, ensuring its price is not more expensive than conventional alternatives, and ensuring that it's massively available, that it just fits neatly into existing supply chains. This combination is really what enables new materials to take off and have the massive scale they need to if we want to hit the impact goals which we're striving for within the very short window which we have in order to hit them. One of the other barriers to wetland regeneration at the moment is actually sort of the groundworks and establishment of the crop, which so far has been done in fairly laborious ways. And at Ponda, we're really interested in how can we enable the cheapest, easiest, quickest way to transform these drained environments back into their regenerated alternatives. And that's why we've also begun to really invest in that side of our supply chain. So a byproduct of our manufacturing of BioPuff is actually seeds from the plant. And we've now developed a way for them to be encased within pellets, which can then be re-sown over new wetlands using drones. And the reason why that's so important is because in comparison to planting with conventional plugs, it is orders of magnitude cheaper by using drones instead. And so by engaging with these novel leading edge technologies, we can actually make things much cheaper for farmers looking to want to onboard this new type of agriculture, paludiculture, in their landscapes and in their farms. The other thing that we've done is we've worked with another company called LogLogic to actually develop the first wetland harvester of this particular type of crop that we're looking to harvest, which is able to actually go on very low ground pressure environments. So you can think of it as a sort of kind of like a snowmobile kind of thing, giant sort of machine, but it's on tracks, and so it distributes its weight across a very wide area, meaning that it doesn't have a huge amount of impact on the land. And that means we can continue to not disrupt the sort of carbon cycle or many of the other cycles which are happening within the wetlands, whilst moving from a hand-based harvesting model to a mechanized one as well. And those mechanisms of scale are really important when it comes to looking at how we're going to create impact on a global scale, not just a local one.
That's it for today's episode of Echoes from the Bog. We hope this conversation with CEO Julian Ellis Brown of Ponda gave you some ideas on the ways that all kinds of industries from fashion to homeware can contribute to peatland restoration and create diverse income streams for paludiculture farmers. If you have your own story to tell, maybe you live near a peatland, work with wet landscapes, or simply feel drawn to these ecosystems, we'd love to hear from you. You can reach out to us on Instagram at re-PEAT.earth or send us an email at info@re-PEAT.earth. We're always looking for new voices, perspectives, and stories to share. Who knows, maybe you can be featured on a future episode of Echoes from the Bog. Until next time, and we'll see you down in the bog.